Vinaya Tulside Vyai Riyaya Kishavashacha Vishnu Bhakti Satchavachai Namo Namaha. Careful. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Hiripada Hagare Gopi Jana Manava Hiripada Hagare Yasudanana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasudanana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Banachari Jamuna Tera Banachari Jai Horad Umadava Kunya Bihari Jai Hurad Umadhova Kunya Bihati Gopijana Balava Kiribharadhati Gopijana Balava Kiribharadhati Yasudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jambunatira Vanachati Yamunatera Vanachati Jayurad Umadhuva Kunya Bihati Jayurad Umadhava Kunya Bihati Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravatikacharya O Sutara Suchashi Shimad His Divine Grace via Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Friends say Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidway Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturadam Ki Jai Jagatasami Ki Jai Yuvanamai Ki Jai Shivani Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nama Om Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namani, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivashesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Dejatarane. So today we are reading from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 41st chapter, text 27. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Manamsi Tasam Aravinda Lochanaha Pragalbha Leela Vasitavalokai Jahara Mata Dviradendra Vikramo Vrisham Adadach Dri Ramanat Manotsavam. Manam Sita Sammaravindalochana. Pragalvalila Sitavalokai. Jaharamata Viratendra Vikramo. Trishamdadat Sri Ramanat Manotsavam. Manam Sita Sammaravindalochana. Pragalvalila Hasitavalokai. Jaharamata Dviratendra Vikramo. Drishamdadat Sri Ramanat Manotsavam. Manam Sita Sammaravindalochana. Pragalvalila Hasitavalokai. Jaharamata Dvirachendra Vikramo. Drishamdadat Sri Ramanat Manotsavam. Okay. Right? Manamsi, the minds. Tasam, there. Aravinda, like lotuses. Lochanaha, he whose eyes. Pragalba, bold. Leela, with his pastimes. Asita, smiling. Avalokai, with his glances. Jahara, he took away. Mata, in rut. Advirada Indra, like a lordly elephant. Vikramaha, whose gait. Drisham, to their eyes. Dadat, affording. Shri, of the goddess of fortune. Ramana, which is the source of pleasure. Atmana, with his body. Utsavam, a festival. Translation, the lotus-eyed Lord, smiling as he recalled his bold pastimes, captivated those ladies' minds with his glances. He walked with the gait of a lordly elephant in rut. Rut means, anyway, he's interested in the females. Yeah. beings. I've seen human beings in rut. I've actually seen it. I've seen it, believe me. Yep. Creating a fest. What? Yes, I've seen it in males. They walk like they're. Anyway, when they're lusty as dogs. Creating a festival for their eyes with his transcendental body, which is the source of pleasure for the divine goddess of fortune. So you can repeat. The lotus-eyed Lord, smiling as he recalled his bold pastimes, captivated those ladies' minds with his glances. He walked with the gait of a lordly elephant in a rut, creating a festival for their eyes with his transcendental body, which is the source of pleasure for the divine goddess of fortune. So the commentary, no commentary by the followers of Srila Prabhupada, but there are commentaries by the great acharyas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states, Krishna is described as Sri Brahmana to indicate that he gave pleasure to the women of Mathura with his beauty, Sri. By the beauty of his body, Atmana, the women's eyes, derive complete bliss, ut savam, enthusiasm festival. He stole their minds. This indicates that by giving them enjoyment of the eyes, they became thrilled, and without their noticing, he then stole the jewel of their minds. Jiva Goswami states, so far off, he gave pleasure to the eyes of the women by his form, which caused rati even in Lakshmi. When he came closer, whoops, this is some English mistake. When he came closer, he gave pleasure to their eyes by his lotus eyes. Yep. Then he gave pleasure by his bold, playful, smiling glances. In this way, he stole their minds. Pragalpa means he was capable of stealing their minds, or his brows danced playfully, and his smiles, because playful on reaching, so many editing mistakes, because playful on reaching the height of cleverness in the Kaishora age. Different types of smiles indicated his different emotions. His glances also displayed these emotions. His feet moved boldly as if he were a mad elephant. Though the singular manat could be used to express the meaning, the plural monangsi is used to show that all their minds were stolen. The meaning becomes startling by indicating that even though they were all shy, all their minds became captivated. Their minds were like their treasures, and he was greedy for those treasures. Oh my God. God is greedy. But his greed is not like our greediness. His greediness is because he wants the best thing. It's out of love. Real love. Not that he just wanted to be appreciated by everybody like we do. He actually was concerned. He loved them, and he wanted to please them. This is suitable since their minds were filled with prema. He gave them pleasure and then stole their minds. This suggests his cleverness in stealing. It is seen that clever thieves steal wealth by deceiving people when there's a great festival. You see this at Mayapur, as many pickpockets. You go into the temple, during the festivals. They always say, there's always an announcement in the morning, be careful of pickpockets. And you always hear about people having their stuff stolen in Mayapur. The verse expresses the order in which they saw him, from far to close up. The order of the words in this verse are as follows. With his lotus eyes he stole their mind. What then can be said of his whole body, which is the shelter of various pastimes? The words in the instrumental case show progressively how their minds became captivated. Sanatana Goswami's commentary is basically the same thing. Just It's exactly the same thing. Sanatana Goswami's commentary. So let's go back to the verse. Again. Vanam sita samadavindalochana pragalpalila sitavalokai Jaharamatad viratendra vikramo Vishamdadat Sri Ramanats Manotsavam. So, Om Gana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Un Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I'm going to ask a question of everyone at the beginning. Is Krishna the most beautiful person? Don't answer, Mother Emily. You know the answer. Anyone else? Most attractive person? Yes or no? Oh, okay. He knows. Actually, there's a quotation here from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Very interesting. He says, if Sri Radhika's beauty were not greater than the beauty of Krishna, who is overwhelmed by his own beauty, then she would not have been able to attract that most enchanting Krishna. Thus she is known as Madan Mohan Mohini. Krishna is compared to the full moon, and Radha is like a effulgence. She is also the origin of all of Krishna's energies. Therefore, she is called the Adi Shakti. Adi Shakti is the name of Radharani. So, there's another quote from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur I wanted to read that indicates the attractiveness of Krishna's toenails. Just like when we're meditating on the deities, we're supposed to meditate on the toes or the feet of Krishna first. So this is actually from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Nectar of Instructions for Immortality. He actually gives it 108 instructions for immortality. It's really interesting literature. He says, a Vaishnava has no possessions. Nothing can tempt his mind. We were talking about this last night, how a Vaishnava has no possessions. And then this was in reference to that one verse in the Bhagavatam, Ishahamanu Pranami Harishe Taddanam Shanai. For those who I especially favor, I take away everything. So his friends and relatives reject him. Prabhupada was very fond of this verse because he could resonate with it in many different ways. So friends and relatives reject him, and they just have to take shelter of Krishna. So what does it mean? So does it mean if you become a Vaishnava that Krishna really takes away everything in terms of, you know, you're just walking around in rags? Not necessarily. If you're thinking that you have something, then Krishna may do that to you. But if you understand, as the Upanishad states, you know, Ishavashamidam Sarvam Yadgimcha Jagajam Jagatina Jajana Punjarama Kartaka Svidhanam, everything is owned by Krishna. You understand that you don't have anything, right? Nothing is yours. Nirmana Mohajita Sangha Dosha Vyatmanicha Vanivrita Kama. And when you understand that, you understand you have no possessions. Because Manasa Deha Geha Yoga Shamor. What is it? Arpilam Tuya Padi Nandakashur. My mind, my body, my home, everything is yours. Anyway, here's the rest of the quote. A Vaishnava has no possessions. That means he also knows he can't possess something. In addition to having no possessions, he can't possess anything. Therefore, nothing can tempt his mind. Wow. Nothing in this world. No beautiful sunset. No. I was just listening to a memory, a Srila Prabhupada memory, how the devotees were just sitting. I forget exactly where it was. They were just sitting watching the sun come down and everything like that. Anyway, so nothing tempts your mind if you're a pure devotee. There's nothing extraordinary in this world or the next worth coveting for him. And I'm going to add, or to see. He desires only to see the beauty of the toenails of Krishna's lotus feet. Pretty nice quote. Whenever we are not attracted to serving the Lord, we should understand that we have been attacked and captured by Maya's illusory energy. In other words, whenever you're experiencing non-attraction, or not feeling attracted to Krishna's lotus feet or Krishna's service, that means you're captivated. There's no in between. If you're not feeling it, you're captivated by the illusory energy. So, anyway, talking about Krishna's beauty, there's many interesting stories. Another story I was thinking of when I was reading this particular verse was the story of the fruit seller in Vrindavan. And of course, sometimes some of the things we're going to be talking about today are in reference to Krishna's beauty in Vrindavan, which is even more than Krishna's beauty outside of Vrindavan, because that's one of the four qualities that Krishna only exhibits in Vrindavan. The beauty that's unexcelled even by Lord Narayan or Krishna's expansion as Dwarkadish or Mathuranath outside of Vrindavan. So this particular story is about Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, there was a fruit seller who basically they would come, the fruit sellers, they would come to different people's homes, and you didn't pay them money. I mean, they didn't have a Square app on their phone or anything like that in those days, because no one knows what that is. But actually, there was barter. You'd give them something in return, usually grains or something you had in the house, or gold or whatever. So anyway, the fruit seller comes to Krishna's house, and Krishna greets the fruit seller, and Krishna wants to buy some fruits. So he grabs some grains with his little hands, and because I guess he has space between the fingers, and all the grains basically slipped out except for a few little grains, and he offered them to the fruit seller. And the fruit seller, guess what? She looked at him, and she became so overwhelmed with his beauty that she just gave him all the fruits. Not that she was thinking like we think, if I offer everything to Krishna, I get back unlimited. Yeah, sometimes I think like that, Well, if I serve Krishna, then maybe it'll be like Sudama Brahman. Right, Sudama Brahman? They'll come back to my house instead of a dome in the forest, and there'll be a giant mansion with a swimming pool and so many, not maidservants, so many manservants, So, but she wasn't thinking like that. She didn't know that Krishna was God. And she just saw his beauty and just like, wow. She lost it. She gave up all of her fruits for just like one little piece or, little specks of grains. And, of course, we know she turned around and she looked at her basket later on, and it was filled with jewels. So that means that she was a pure devotee, because Krishna gave her all this stuff, and she understood all this stuff didn't belong to her. It was Krishna's. And that's a pure devotee's consciousness. So that's the fruit seller. Other stories about Krishna's beauty that come to mind. One is in Dwarka, of course. This is a Dwarka story of Krishna's marriage to Rukmini. She just heard of Krishna's beauty. She just heard from Narada Muni and other personalities of Krishna's beauty. And her mind became so captivated just hearing about Krishna's beauty. Why don't our minds become captivated? Huh? Why? Because Yesham Twandagatam Pamam Yanam Punyakarmanam Dikwandamohan Nimrita Pajantivam Shitadagra. Because we still have some inclination towards pop or sinful activities, so our minds don't really become captivated when we hear about Krishna. Isn't it? Yesham Twandagatam Pamam Yanam Punyakarmanam. So, anyway. So we have to have Shuddha Habhimana, purified minds, and then we hear about Krishna, Mahaprabhu, Kirtana, Richagita, Bharituramadya, and Manaso. Then we start what? Shaking in ecstasy and dancing. So Rukmini just heard about Krishna, and she became determined that I'm not going to marry anyone else but Krishna. Another story about Krishna's beauty, of course, the story I tell all the time, is the story of Dhanur Das and Sripad Ramanujacharya. That once upon a time, Dhanur Das was in love with his girlfriend. And he was so much in love with his girlfriend that he was fanning her and walking backwards and holding an umbrella over her head. Sometimes you see that with, I remember being at certain Rath Yatras with, it's not, anyway, not a criticism. I have to paraphrase, maybe it is. But that some guru would show up and the disciple would be fanning him during the Rath Yatra and holding an umbrella over his head. Not because he had beautiful eyes, but anyway. So she was walking backwards, and basically the disciples of Ramanujacharya, they were making fun of the guy, but Ramanujacharya said, let me talk to him. So he talked to him and said, why are you doing it? And this man said, my girlfriend has beautiful eyes. What is that song? Oh, what beautiful eyes, what great big beautiful eyes. Anyway, so, and Ramanujacharya said, I can show you someone with more beautiful eyes. Would you want that? And he was thinking, where's that girl? So he took him to see the deities, Bharata Daraja, and that was in Kanchi's story. And he saw the deities, and then he fell in love with Krishna. And then Rasa Varjam, Rasa Pritsa, Param Drishra Nivartate. Then it was like a higher taste, you know. And he still got married, because he did like his girlfriend. So they got married and had a Krishna conscious marriage, and he was extremely detached. That's a symptom of one who is attached to Krishna. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asuvai Ragam Gyanamicharyad Ahoikatakam. A symptom of one who is attached to Krishna is that one gets